The meeting to order. Good evening, folks. It's 7 p.m. I'm going to call the meeting to order, and the first order of business is Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you, everybody. And I would entertain a motion for approval of the regular meeting minutes on October 4th.
Second.
Motion made by Mark, seconded by Brendan. Any discussion? All those in favor, please indicate by raising your hand. It's unanimous. I'd like to note that Ilda just got here. Welcome, Ilda. That Katina is absent this evening, just so. We're missing one person. I'd entertain a motion to approve the minutes for the special meeting on October 7th.
So moved.
Second.
That was our retreat. Anybody have any comments on those? If you approve, please indicate by raising your hand. Okay, thank you. Is there anybody who is signed up to speak during public comment? Or who would like to speak during public comment? I don't see anybody. So we'll go to board chair's report. I just want to bring up that we're going to propose moving up the action item on Joshua Hibbard to earlier on in the agenda, so he and his family don't have to wait forever tonight for us to take action. So I'll entertain a motion on that. Maybe we could put it in underneath, before we go into discussion, we could move action item number E up to that point on the agenda. So we'll just do that a little later if that suits everybody. I also want to mention that we'll be going into executive session later on in the agenda, and I want to make sure that people know when we go into executive session, it's not expected that everybody waits around till we come out of executive session. So you're welcome to stay, but there's no obligatory reason to stay for that. And our next meeting is coming up right before the elections. I know some members on the Board of Ed are running for re-election, and some members we have staggered seats, so some members are not running for election. I just think we all should be prepared that there would be some changes to the board after the November 7th election. We have one more meeting before that, but I just wanted to put that out there. And in a nonpartisan way, I want to encourage everybody who hasn't registered to register to vote, and please vote in the municipal elections because they are very important and they do affect your day-to-day life if you live here in Windham. And there are people running on all the boards in town. Now I'm going to hand it over to Tracy for the superintendent's report.
Thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. We're going to start off with the attendance and discipline report, your biweekly check-in. You'll notice our attendance rates are very close to where they were last year at the same time. A few schools have gone up slightly, a few schools have gone down slightly, but we're in the same range, always shooting for that 90% mark daily attendance rate. You'll also notice the discipline information. I will tell you that there's going to be a change to the number of incidents logged for Windham Middle School. No change to the in-school or out-of-school data, but we did discover a real issue with double entry that we're in the process of changing in our system. So we're working on that. I'll get you an updated list when that's been done. I did have a meeting with the Windham Middle School principal, and we delved deep into the data and the incidence of out-of-school suspension, which, as you know, is something we're really working hard to reduce in the district have been issued for physical aggression. So we're really trying to not allow fighting to go on in our school. And so they're working hard at that. And again, I want to just point out that the number is, although people see the number and they say, wow, 19 incidents, but the reality is there's nearly 600 students in that building. So there's a lot more students who are making good decisions than there are those receiving out-of-school suspension. So I just want to keep that in perspective. Sometimes it's hard to see that. And as I shared at the board retreat, having run schools before, you can't allow fighting to happen in your school because it makes everyone feel unsafe. So we're working on those numbers, working hard behind the scenes, but I just wanted the board to see the biweekly check-in, so I don't know if there's any specific questions.
Mark?
Yes, what is our support for these kids once they are in out-of-school suspension? Do we have tutors assigned to them? Are they coming to a special classroom? What do we do?
So I don't know if, Joanne, are you comfortable talking about this, or do you want me to follow up after? Either way, I'm okay with.
If you could come up.
Sure.
And please identify yourself for people who may be watching this.
You can tell she's a Windham Whippet graduate. She's like in the swag.
We had high school fair day today, so we were all in our wherever we graduated from, a lot of the staff members. So we had several Windham High graduates, which was nice. I'm sorry, Mark, you're asking what supports when they return?
No, while they're out.
While they're out. So while they're out, you know, although we don't have, of course, the virtual or the hybrid learning anymore, we do, a lot of their lessons are still in Google Classroom that kids do at work, you know, do in the classroom. So they can go on their Google Classroom if they'd like to see what there's there to stay up with. Obviously, direct instruction is not happening, so we don't encourage them to just guess at things and turn in work that's, you know, not going to then benefit them, really. So while they're home, though, they can go in and look, do any research that might be on there, reading. There's iReady that they can work on. If the parents would like to do that, if they want to talk to the teachers about what they're doing, they can. But otherwise, when they do return, we offer them an opportunity to do work at home, you know, outside of school, especially if it's a suspension. And then we also have some things in place for mediation when they return.
So in the past, we used to offer tutors for some of the out-of-school suspended kids. Do we no longer have tutors working with these once a day, once a week or something?
Well, we have tutors only, well, we have, you know, tutors for expulsion students, but these are, you know, anywhere from, they can be anywhere from 1 to 10 days out of school suspension.
Okay.
Tracy, you may want to answer that about the
Yeah,
tutors for.
we're not
when they're
offering
out.
Yep.
tutoring for students who are out of school suspended.
Expulsion, yes, not suspension.
And we're hoping that it's a mistake that they made, and then we can get them back on the right track, and they are able to stay in school. That's the goal. And thank you for answering impromptu. I appreciate it. Any other questions? Okay, next on my list is just to bring you up to speed. We presented this to the School Planning and Design Committee on Monday night. We are in the process of creating an identity for our alternative high school. As you know, right now, it's just referred to as CORE, AWP, which is the acronym for the two programs that exist in that building. We are looking to give it a name. We have proposed the name the Phoenix Academy. The students, I guess, are really excited, and I know the principal of, there he is, he's already clapping. Matt Harnett is in the building. Very excited about this potential change. So we're looking for the board to help us make that decision. And if the Phoenix Academy is a choice that the board approves of, then we will also get them a logo, which is something they're missing currently. And the logo will include the name Windham, because remember, the ultimate goal of this program is to eventually tuition students in. So we want to make sure people know it's the Phoenix Academy from Windham. So I don't know if you have any specific questions for Matt. I know he loves to talk. So if there are any questions, he's here.
Well, we have it as a discussion item, so I don't
Perfect.
think we need to talk about
Awesome.
it right now.
Thank you so much.
And you can come up to the podium.
Yes. See ya.
Oh,
Yeah, I know.
wow.
He's larger than life.
Actually, you have to come to a mic, even though you can project. But not right now. We're
At
this is-
discussion, hold tight. Next on my list is just letting the public know that we have moved forward with the What's Cool in Our School process that we were discussing at the board retreat on Saturday. So just let everyone know that there will be monthly presentations coming from our schools each month, and those presentations will include teachers, students, parents, possibly family liaisons. They'll be about 10 or 15 minutes in length, and they will hopefully help us celebrate some of the amazing things that are happening in our schools and the things that make each of our schools unique. I've already talked to at least one principal about the plan. I think you're going to really like this plan. I can't wait till it happens. So they're getting creative, so you should be in for a treat in terms of the presentations that are put forth. Any questions on what's cool in our school? Okay. Next up, along those same lines, also coming from the board retreat on Saturday, the 7th, is the school ambassador. If you haven't already been contacted by your principal, you will be this week. We've given you little ID cards. It sounds like Brendan might have a plan to make them even more, I don't know, sturdy. I'm not really sure, but he's working on that. But we are happy to invite each board member to be a part or to be an ambassador to each of our 8 schools. Sweeney is waiting for the new board member to come on board. But we'd like to welcome you. And like I said, if you haven't heard directly from the principals, you will. Any questions?
Can I say something?
Sure.
Yes, of course.
I
Hilda.
have heard from my principal, and I see she's here, Amy Majic. Yes, she's invisible. But she, can you hear me? All right, so Friday, I know this is not report time, I just want to say Friday I went there, she invited me right away, made me feel welcome. I felt like part of the staff there. We went to their Hispanic Heritage Dinner, and I got a shirt. Thank you, Amy. She's awesome.
I think it's going to be great. I too have heard from my principal, and we're
Oh,
right. And I'm going there on Monday. So, at any rate, it is happening. It is in motion.
happening, yes.
It's exciting.
Okay, so that's all I have for my report. I think we're moving up action item E, so should I jump right into Mr. Hibbert?
No, we're going into the discussion items.
Okay, and then we're
Yeah,
coming
and
back
then
to that.
after. Yeah, we can move it up. It's okay. So the first thing on discussion items tonight is a presentation and discussion on the Windham Pride survey, and we have several people here today with us, and I think one person online, and there's a presentation that the board has at the table in front of them, and I don't know who's kicking it off. Yes, would you please identify yourself? Yes. Well, I know Karen's here, and okay, welcome to both of you. So I think you should just get right into it.
Okay, so you have the slides in front of you and behind you on the big screen, is that right?
Yes, that's correct.
Yep.
Okay.
Oh, but you can't see them, can you?
I can see a blue screen, I do see that.
Okay.
It doesn't look like the first slide yet, but I understand, I think Grace is there advancing the slides.
Go ahead, Grace, one more.
That looks right. I think so, that's the first slide that should have the overview on my name, is that right?
Yes.
Perfect, so you can go to the next slide, please, Grace. So first, I just want to thank you so much for giving us the time this evening to talk with you. The Board of Education, the school district is a critical partner for our work for the New Pride Coalition, as I'm sure you're well aware. So tonight, I'm going to talk to you about the student survey tool that we have
We can hear you just fine.
All right, I'll continue. Next slide, please. So we also asked about e-cigarette use and beliefs. We didn't ask this question in 2016. As we all know, e-cigarettes are fairly new in this world. So past 30-day use has gone down, 2018 to 2022. That's great, as well as ever use. We've seen the perception of harm increase. But
Thank you, Ms. Rosenthal. Are there any questions or comments from the board? No, there's a lot of information in the packets. Go ahead, Mary.
Yes, there was a lot of information, and I do recall another presentation a couple of years ago. And I did have some concern about the use of similar questions for such a large span of ages, sixth grade through 12th. And I also want to say I had 3 children go through Windham schools, and I, as a parent, was never informed about the survey. I never saw it to opt in or out. But I do question the sort of benefit versus potential to harm, because children can't know the purpose of this research. I would say, as a parent and a board member, I am not clear on the level of confidentiality. You know, in terms of using human subjects in research and what the purpose of that research is, I think that with children, the protocols have to be the stiffest and the bar has to be high. So I would say at this point, I am a bit concerned about the potential to bring on negative feelings for things that we do actually know children are suffering. So I do have to say, while I agree that these findings are important, they are not something that I think we do have to ask about every single year in order to have the important programs of suicide prevention or drug education. So that is kind of my concern here, especially with the younger students.
Paula, did you have something you wanted to say or ask?
Yes, just recently, as of yesterday morning, Ilda and I had the opportunity to attend the school-based health center meeting. And it's interesting to hear that these are exactly the types of groups that the social workers and team members are developing for the students. So I would imagine that they would benefit, even if it is in generalities, the kinds of issues that kids are going through as they form their groups and their education. So it seems to be that not only are we gathering the information, but the school systems through the health centers are addressing the issues.
Anybody else have any comments, questions? I would just like to ask again about the parental notification. If we have a parent sitting right here who said that her children were in the schools in this time period and she didn't get notice of it, can you follow up on that and make sure that the notification is happening in a way that parents actually notice that this comes across their desk? Like, a phone call may not be the best way to get the information. I'm not sure. I don't know what the best way is, but if people aren't knowing that their children are going through this, it's difficult, I think. My kids are too old to have gone through this, but
I think it might benefit have a couple different ways that parents are notified. It could be an email as well as somebody that's sent in the mail. I know I have a ninth grader and I received a letter at my home notifying us that they'll be completing a similar survey in school later this month. So it could be mail in the mail, it could be email, and I think that's something that we typically work with administrators to figure out what is the best way to reach their audience, and it might be different ways. But we absolutely want to make sure that parents are informed, and it also gives parents, we encourage them to speak with their child if they like to after the survey, to have it start a conversation about the survey and about the contents as well. So that's definitely something, and we do provide sample letters to provide to parents, whether that's an email or a letter or phone call or robocall or all of the above. We provide sample language as well.
I can speak to last year in that we sent out a letter to 6th through 12th grade students in both English and Spanish. So I know at least for 2022 that happened.
thank you. Any other comments or questions? Mark?
I'm wondering, Tracy, do we also have this listed on our website?
I'm not sure what you mean listed.
Well, I noticed on our website that the survey's coming out and the parents can, some information about the survey on our website, so if someone's looking on our
We
website.
certainly can put it in our
Yeah.
news link,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Thank you. Are there any other comments or questions? Okay, thank you very much for coming this evening. We appreciate it. Thanks to the two of you, too.
Hi again, so I'm Karen Ravenel Bloom, the Prevention Director for the Windham Pride, Windham Prevention Coalition. And I also just wanted to state too that our coalition is made up of members throughout the community through 12 different sectors. So we do have a number of school members on our coalition, and Lynn Weeks is on our coalition from the school-based, representing the school-based health centers, and she's been really valuable when we had our own retreat last year, and it was a 4-hour retreat. We've had leadership development for both adults and our youth leaders in the community. We do the Summer Youth Leadership Academy, but we really try and take information from these surveys and and also get youth voices involved. And that when we have our youth council meetings and so forth, we're just asking them what are they seeing in their schools and so forth. And so a lot of information comes from them, and it helps us to tailor best ways to reach out to youth and get conversations going and so forth. And so along the same lines too, I just want to say that with Emily on board, this is through a grant. It's the state, it's a Department of Mental Health and Addictions grant, and we were really fortunate. So I was a staff of one out of the town of Windham, we had a 10-year grant. I came on board the last year and a half of the grant, and that was a federal drug-free communities grant. The town supported us once that funding ended, and we work very closely with also our local police department, faith-based communities. And so when that funding ended, we found out about this grant through Department of Mental Health and Addiction Services, and we were one of 6 in the state to get this grant, which focuses on alcohol prevention, specifically, along with other things, but more intensively for alcohol prevention for youth ages 12 on up to 20. So we're doing some outreach with the older age youth as well. And so through that grant, it was a 3-year grant, we were able to hire Mary Oleno, my colleague, and who's just phenomenal and really great, just great and passionate about the field. And so this summer we had a site visit from DMS, and the grant was supposed to end this upcoming June, and we just found out that just given all the people that were there on our coalition, we had a number of support people, including youth, to talk about their role in the past 2.5, almost 3 years with the grant. We have been given another 2-year extension. So we're very excited about that, super excited. And so again, Mary's really passionate, and we really do want to hope this year to get out into the schools even more vibrantly, and all the schools, so Windham Public Schools, especially the middle and high schools, and then the other schools too, the ACT and the Windham Tech. So we have Prevention Week that we do in May. We do a lot of public service announcements, want to get parents involved. So we just, we appreciate that you invited us to come tonight, but I just wanted to give a little bit more of an overview of what Windham Pride does. And, if you have any other questions, we're happy to answer them, Mary or myself. So
Thank you very much. That's great, and congratulations on your extension. Does anybody have any questions before we move on? I'm sorry, we have a very full agenda tonight, so it's not like we're not interested. We've just heard an overview, and I think we can follow up if we need to. Thank you.
Okay, next on the agenda. All right, we have the right slide up. Okay. All right, so I'm going to read a bio for Mr. Hibbard. I know the board wasn't able to be a part of the multi-tiered interview process that Josh went through, but I'm going to tell you a little bit about him, and he's here in the audience with his family, so we'll possibly get to hear from him as well. Joshua Hibbard is a 26-year educator from Connecticut. He has studied at UConn for his Bachelor's of Arts degree in Spanish and his Latin American Studies certificate. He received his Master's of Arts in Education from Sacred Heart University and a Certificate of Advanced Graduate Study in Advanced Educational Leadership from the University of New England. Over his 23 years, Mr. Hibbard was a full-time high school Spanish teacher, having taught beginning level courses through College Board Spanish 5 Advanced Placement Language and Culture course and Spanish 6 Early College Experience as an adjunct faculty member of the University of Connecticut. Over this span, he has also worked as a curriculum and instructional leader, department chair, athletic coach, a team mentor for beginning teachers, and a member of NEASC's accreditation teams. A highlight for Mr. Hibbard's teaching career has been the opportunity to organize and supervise international adventures for students to Mexico, Spain, Costa Rica, and Peru. For the 21-22 school year, Mr. Hibbard was hired as a social and emotional learning coach for Norwich Public Schools and was promoted that spring to the role of Dean of Climate and Culture at Teachers Memorial Global Studies Magnet Middle School. He also served as a student council advisor, National Junior Honor Society advisor, and an honor roll assembly leader in that building. During his career, Mr. Hibbard has been honored as a Teacher of the Year, an Outstanding Educator by the University of Chicago, and an All-Area Coach of the Year 3 times. He is very excited to become part of La Familia and become the newest member of Windham High School. He is grateful for the love and support of his wife Nancy and his sons Ethan and Oliver. I believe Oliver's here tonight, and the many members of his family. So tonight, I am formally requesting the board consider appointing Mr. Joshua Hibbard as Windham High School's Dean of Students.
Thank you. And Mr. Hibbard, since you're here with us, would you like to come up to the mic and share a few words with us this evening?
Is it on? Oh, it's still on. Okay, perfect. So good evening. Thank you very much for having me here tonight with my family. My oldest son is in West Virginia studying at West Virginia University, so he's the missing link tonight, but he can perhaps play this back, although I can't guarantee that he will. Thank you very much. Obviously, being here is a new adventure and a new challenge for me. It's been a very weird day because I was saying goodbye to middle schoolers this morning, hoping that everything was going to work out tonight with you folks. And you were able to hear the many journeys that I've had throughout my career so far. I'm super excited to be a member of La Familia, starting as early as tomorrow morning. And I really appreciate Dr. Youngberg, the rest of the board, everybody who's here. Some of the interview team is in the audience tonight, as you know. So thank you very much. I'm very, very ready to get going and to get to work, and my mind started swirling looking at the presentations that you guys have made already tonight. So definitely ready for you, so appreciate the support tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Just an it was with great enthusiasm that we heard about you from Tracy Youngberg. So we're very pleased to meet you in person tonight and to have part of your family here. I would entertain a motion to move action item number E up on the agenda so that we could take action as a board. Motion made by Paula, seconded by Mark. Is there any discussion? Okay, all those in favor of moving this up on the agenda, please raise your hand. Thank you. And so now I would entertain a motion to approve Joshua Hibbard as the new dean at Windham High School.
So moved.
With pleasure, second.
Motion made by Brendan, seconded by Ilda. It looked like Alicia was trying to do it too. So, is there any discussion on the motion?
Glad he agreed.
Yes, Norwich's loss is our gain. Any other discussion? Okay, with no further ado, all those in favor of approving this new position for Joshua Hibbard, please indicate by raising your hand. It's a very divided board, as you can see. Congratulations, and so you can start tomorrow morning. Okay. Thank you. And don't feel like you have to stick around for the rest of the meeting, although you're welcome to if you want to.
Perfect.
You should do that. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Take care. Have a nice dinner. Okay. The next thing on the agenda is the potential name change for the core AWP program, which is very welcome, and I'm going to let Tracy get us kicked off on that, and then, of course, if Matt wants to come up, he can, too.
I think the slide's actually before the presentation, but I'm not 100% sure about that, so hang on. No, you know what?
There it is.
Yeah, there it is. Okay.
it went.
So I guess he's ready to go. There you go.
You motion, so. No, I mean, I appreciate the time, and I don't want to take up a lot of it with it, but, you know, just a couple of things real quick about it. I got placed and, you know, coordinated my change from here at the middle school to my new position over as principal at the core building program. And that's exactly how it kind of came across to me. People refer to it as core or core program or the core building. It lacks identity. It lacks, you know, a sense of what it is. And at the same time, too, the core program has a little bit of a negative connotation, especially among the students. So there is an opportunity here for us to kind of rebrand and recreate this, and that's what we've been working on since the beginning of the summer. Coming up with an identity, a sense of community, a sense of culture, that's really, really important for the groups of kids that are going to be going through there and that we're going to be working with. Because for many of them, they are disenfranchised, they are disconnected. They're looking for a place to belong and a place where they fit in. And to kind of wipe away the negative connotations of what currently exists around the program and where these kids are going would be a step in the right direction to really get these kids moving back positively towards improving their school experience. You know, we've had a lot of conversations in our building with the kids and, you know, with the adults that work there. They're enthusiastic about it. You know, we need to get you probably a really great t-shirt because you'll see it'll be the best swag in the district because the kids are really excited about that. Yeah. You know, but, you know, we kicked around different names. We had actually some fun with it one morning when we were all having breakfast together over there. And, you know, the kids were being funny. They really kind of came up with some names, some of which I really can't share here. But, you know, they're enthusiastic about it, and they're looking for a fresh start, and they're looking for a change as well. And we came at this, you know, as it says, because it's a fresh start. It's a new beginning. It's a chance for them to kind of bounce back from some of the things that have knocked them down a little bit. And that's what we're looking to do, is try to build them back up and help them get back to where they need to be so they can all earn their diplomas and move on to the next phases. Yep.
Thanks. Does anybody have any questions or comments about this? Mary, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I am happy to hear that the students are very much invested in this. Although I would just say that there will be new groups of students coming through. So, I mean, most of our schools have names they've had forever, or just a descriptive name like Windham Middle School. So I feel a little bit like maybe it's hasty to choose this name that this group of students liked. And as I indicated the other day, I think it sounds a little like a charter school name, but it doesn't have Windham in it. Well, I guess it could have Windham in it, but so I did have some ambivalence about the choice of name.
Does anybody else have any comments? I think it's really important to not have it be core AWP. That's like really difficult to sort of get behind, and I think I think we should be listening to you as a leader in the school about what you and the people who work in that school program believe will help give the students more pride and being part of something that's bigger than themselves, sort of more than the sum of their parts. So I think it's an exciting move. Anybody else? If not, I would also, since Matt is here, I would like to suggest we move action item F up on the agenda for action, so that we don't make him have to, he can clap very loudly, so we don't make him have to wait forever. I'd entertain a motion to do so.
So moved.
Second?
Motion made by Paula, seconded by Ilda. So any discussion on moving it up on the agenda? Hearing none, all those in favor, please indicate by raising your hand. Okay, that motion passed, so now I'll entertain a motion to, how is it stated on the agenda? On the name change for Core WAP, and I'm going to say to Phoenix Academy. I'd entertain that motion.
So moved.
Motion made by Mark,
Second.
seconded by Paula. Any more discussion?
I would like to, just as long as we all get a T-shirt, I'll be willing to vote for this.
We'll see what we can do.
Yeah.
I would like to add Windham to that name, Windham Phoenix Academy.
Well, I think if you had the slide up there that had the emblem. The ring on the right that says Windham, and probably the emblem that's in the middle, and it'll be in color.
Those are the two choices that from the artist's rendering.
It's a bird that rises from the ashes. Right.
Yeah, I think that's appropriate for you,
Yeah.
for you guys.
It's cool.
Yeah.
We're excited.
Well, I think, all in all, we probably should officially change the motion to Windham Phoenix Academy, just make sure it's in the minutes that way.
Okay, in the minutes, Windham Phoenix Academy. Okay. Thank you. Does anybody accept that addendum to the motion? Who made the
I made it.
second on it? I did. Paula, is that okay with you? Okay. Okay, all those in favor of the name change, please indicate by raising your hand. Any opposed? One opposed, motion passes.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I will get you the information because we've already had one, but we have 3 more parent-family nights that are scheduled throughout the year. I'll let you know what those dates are so you guys can come, but we've had one already, and we're going to have one probably just before the holidays, another one, and 2 in the spring. But I'll let you know. And please, come by anytime you want. It'd be really neat if some of you came by and saw some of the stuff we're doing, because it's really pretty cool.
I'm sure we can't wait to get your version of what's cool in our
Oh,
school.
yeah.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
got some good stuff coming.
Okay.
We got
Thank
good-
you.
we got
Thank
some
you.
good stuff.
And
Hilda?
although we're not all the ambassadors, we stand behind her. And we would like a
Right.
shirt, though, that's my point.
Right.
Anytime you want. Thank you.
Okay,
No, I'm
thank
just
you.
kidding.
Okay, the next item up for discussion is the educational specifications for the proposed elementary school consolidated school. I'll hand it over to you, Tracy.
Sure, so the board members have had a copy of the elementary ed spec now for several weeks. We brought it up to school planning and design on September 19th, and then there was a summary of the ed spec, because it's quite a large document, at the board meeting on the 20th. It was a topic of discussion at our board retreat. I don't know if there's any specific questions the board members might have, but I'm hoping tonight the board will take action on the elementary ed spec, because there are some pretty substantial benefits from a teaching and learning standpoint, the expansion of elementary offerings, substantial benefits in terms of being fiscally responsible and able to provide our students what they need, given some of the struggles the district has had with budgeting in the past. So hoping the board takes into consideration the ed spec for tonight so we can move forward. Once the board does approve the ed spec, it moves on to a cost estimator who's able to give us an idea of what this project will cost. So I don't know if you have any specific questions.
As we've spoken about, it's an important next step in us being able to bring this out to the people in the town to talk to them about this project and potentially to a referendum for a vote. So I hope that we can take action this evening, but we can also wait if people don't feel ready. Is there anything that people would like to ask about or ask questions about or talk about this evening? Yes, Mary?
So just going back that this is modeled on an elementary school ed spec from another district. So it's basically scaled up from, so if they had 400 students, you just made it so that.
That's correct. So the state Office of Construction recommended we use South Windsor's model, which we did. Yes, we scaled up in terms of square footage, and obviously the blueprint in our plan is specific to our needs here in Windham. So the number of classrooms is what we need to house the number of students we'll be putting in this building if the elementary consolidation process moves forward like we're hoping.
Go ahead.
And just one other comment that, I've noticed since we first saw this is, for me, saying that in the timeline, putting a question from the Board of Finance to the Board of Ed, I find, I don't really think that's the way that the process, I don't see why that should be the first thing. So the Board of Finance inquired as to why. So to me, that's kind of sidelines the Board of Education, and whether we're looking at for years, looking at are we renovating, with the schools, that has been something that the board has been focused on. It is just how are we going to go about it? So to me, it's just sidelining the Board of Ed.
So this is the first I'm hearing of this feedback, but I understand what you're saying. In the paragraph above, it actually references the fact that these discussions have been happening at the board level for the past decade, but we certainly don't have to include that piece of the timeline if the board doesn't think it should be there. That is how the whole process restarted, but if the board wants it to say something else, then I'll happy to follow the feedback.
I would say I don't see why it needs to be in there, actually. Like, we're doing what we're doing. We've had conversations with them, but it isn't, like, pivotal to us doing what we're doing. Anybody else have anything they'd like to talk about?
Lynn and Mary, are you talking about this timeline and this bullet right there? Okay. I think, I mean, certainly it can be removed if you like, but I think the one thing that stands out to me is kind of shows their approval for the process, for the school. I see it as a positive thing.
Well, we could take a vote on it if people wanted to. I just think, I think it's a sore point for some of us. That's all. I mean, a sore point in the sense that the Board of Ed is moving forward on this project because we believe that this is the best thing academically and equity-wise for the students in our district, and the decision is not being driven by pressures from the Board of Finance, although we have had discussions about this with members of the Board of Finance on and off over the years. The Board of Finance has not yet voted on this. This still needs to go to the Board of Finance at some point, but so I would concur with Mary if she wants to have it taken out, because I do think it's a issue that we're The reason we're doing this is because we think it's right, not because we're being pushed around by people who want to look at the bottom line for the district. But if it's a bone of contention, we can certainly ask for a motion to remove it or not. Brendan?
I was going to say, it doesn't add any significant value to the timeline, so if there's people with an issue with it, I don't really see an issue to removing it.
What do people think? I'll take a straw poll. Should we remove it?
I'm still not sure what.
The first bullet there.
I mean, the other issue is, so it says the Board of Finance inquired as to why the board, I mean, where was that, in a public meeting? You know, so,
It was during the budget meetings that we had with the Board of Finance. So I feel like there's so much more important information in this document. If this bullet is stopping the discussion about, let's get rid of the bullet. Because we need the document, we need the information, the rest of it.
Somebody want to make a motion to remove the bullet if we have to vote on it, because it seems like people are split.
I would make the motion to remove the bullet, of the first bullet under timeline.
Thank you. Do I get a second on that? Brendan? Great. Motion made by Mark, seconded by Brendan.
If-
Any further discussion?
Yeah, it doesn't affect me either way, to tell you the truth. I don't see a negative or a real positive, but if it's causing a problem to stop the document, I agree with Brendan and Tracy that let's just remove it because it's not critical to the purpose of the document.
Okay. Any further discussion? All those in favor of removing the bullet, please indicate by raising your hand. Okay, thank you. So now can we move on to the, is there anybody who would like a motion to approve the ed specs?
So moved.
Well, actually, we're not taking action right now. We're just discussing it. It's on the action items. So any further discussion? Yes?
Just a question. In the past, I know the state had to approve our ed specs. You said they made a recommendation that you follow. Have they approved these specs?
They have not approved these ed specs. They know that we followed the model they recommended, but I have not formally submitted it to them.
So
The board would have to approve it first before, because if,
Okay.
The board
right.
to take
is it appropriate that they approve it before we go for the pricing, or should we go for the pricing before the state approves it?
I think once the board approves it, I have the ability to start doing a whole lot of things with it, but without your approval, I can't do anything.
I understand that. I'm just curious.
Yeah.
I'm just saying if the state changes it, then we have to redo the numbers, the dollar figures. I'm just wondering about the
The way
timeline.
I understood my meeting with the state was there's very few parameters that they set up in how we plan this is going to be. A lot of the things that I were told were, you can't do this and you can't do that. They told me that's not necessarily true, that we can build it the way we want, plan to build it the way we want to build it.
I just
So-
have a painful
but-
memory of how long it took us to get
Yeah.
specs for the Builda's new high school, so.
Yeah, that office at the state level is having some struggles right now in terms of us being able to contact them and who we go to, but I'm happy, once the board approves it, to figure out if they have some recommendations moving forward. Absolutely.
Thank you. Paula?
One more question. I'm sorry, I didn't make the meeting on Monday. There was some discussion at one point about adding additional classrooms at each class grade level. It's been done. Okay, thank you.
Good recall, yes. Anything else? Okay, so we'll consider this under action items. Thank you. Thank you for all the work that went into this, to all the staff and team that did that.
Yeah, the team pitched in, thank you.
Now we're not taking action on this evening, but we are required, before we get to December, to approve the meeting dates for 2024, because it has to be sent to town hall and then be put into the calendar and things of that sort. Tracy, is there something you'd like to, I mean, it's in
So-
our packets.
Right, I just want to thank Holly because she did all the logistical work and put together a potential plan moving forward for not only all the board meetings, but also all the committee meetings. So you'll have some time to sort of sit down and make sure this makes sense to you before we come to a vote. So I would just basically suggest you take the time to figure out, does this make sense, and we'll go from there.
I note that we've changed the full board meetings from the first and third to the back to the second and fourth, so they don't conflict with the Board of Finance and other things. Yeah. Mary?
But it looks like the Board of the Finance and Audit is still concurrent with the full board. I thought we're going to have those on different weeks.
But I think part of the issue was the finance and audit was happening on the first and third, and I think Rita made the suggestion that it happened later in the month, right? Yeah, right.
But it was also a recommendation, from our audit not to have it on the same night as a board meeting, because then there's no time in between. But
I'm not familiar with that recommendation, but I can check it out.
We have time to work on this. And we have to see sort of what happens during the elections, because there may be some slightly different makeup of the board, and people may have other opinions. So we can't really finalize this until we get the new board sworn in. But
Well, and the piece about the Finance and Audit Committee, if you receive information before a board meeting that you're not comfortable with, you don't have to take action on it. You don't have to approve it that night. We can hold it over for 2 weeks later. It just gives Rita an opportunity to sum up the month before it's time to produce. I think that's what the recommendation was for in terms of timing, correct? Right, okay.
any other discussion on this right now? Okay, so I urge people to take a look at this. I also urge the people who are on the committees to look at the dates for those committees, not to say that everything will be all the same after the elections. There may be some shifting around. But take a look and make sure that the proposed dates work, because once we approve them, those are in the calendar for next year. And if we deviate from any of the dates that are in the calendar, it becomes a special meeting, and then there are restrictions on special meetings. Okay? Okay, now we're on to committee reports and curriculum.
Well, I forgot to bring my notes, so, and it looks like Neil's gone. Oh, no, there he is. We did the pre-K ECC curriculum, which is probably the most delightful one. But other than that, I don't have my notes, so.
You want to give a quick summary?
Thanks, Neil.
No problem. So we just reviewed the pre-K curriculum, their alignment to their standards, the assessments they use. Jane Marone, who's their academic coach, gave an overview of the steps they've taken. We talked about just a variety of topics related to it. But I agree with Mary. It was a lovely discussion. It was probably the friendliest of all the curriculum discussions we're going to have, right? But it was great. But that was pretty much the summary of the meeting.
Any questions, comments? Thank you. Policy, Katina's not here. Did she ask you to pinch hit for her?
Did.
Okay, Brendan, you're going to have 2 reports.
I am going to have 2
Nice.
reports. So policy committee met, what was that, last week, week before? Either way, we went through and reviewed a bunch of policies recommended for repeal, and one for repeal and replacement based on the Shipman and Goodwin audit. Those are in the action items later on this meeting. After that, we were just kind of commenting on, we're just a little bit more than halfway through this audit process now, but the unfortunate part is we've gotten through all the easy stuff. So now we're getting to all of the policies that are going to require some more thought and some more discussion before we make changes based on the policy audit. So we may be slowing down a little bit in how much we present to you guys every month for policy changes. And we may be going back to more policies that require 2 readings before we make changes on them, depending on how substantive the changes are.
Any comments, questions? That sounds ominous.
It does.
Lots of work. But it's good work. It's important work.
Absolutely.
It's a main function of a Board of Ed, right? Is the policies.
Exactly. And some of these policies were enacted when I was a student still.
Yes,
so.
I was going to say, the world has changed a great deal from the time some of these policies were enacted, so.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you. And now I'm going to call on you again for school planning and design, Brendan.
School planning and design. Let me pull up my notes. We met on Monday evening. We had a brief discussion about the elementary school consolidation. There weren't any questions at the meeting on the ed specs. As we spoke about during the retreat, Dr. Youngberg has been in contact with Matt Vertifay, who is roped in the town engineer. They're planning on coming to hopefully our November 1st meeting to answer those questions that we had identified in the board retreat for us, so we can continue down the road of site selection. We discussed the potential name change to the Phoenix Academy that was just approved. And there were some facilities updates on the Barrows panels and the middle school elevator project that are in progress.
Any questions for Brendan? Thank you. Thank you, Brendan.
You're welcome.
And then Mark, finance and audit.
Thank you. We met prior to the meeting, tonight's meeting. During the discussion of the year-to-date figures, questions came up about our special ed programs. So the committee's requested that there be a more in-depth discussion at another board meeting, which will be sometime when Lynn and Tracy can put it on the agenda. And then we also approved budget transfers of $649,446.
Thank you, Mark. Any questions for Mark? Okay, thank you. So now we're on to the action items on the agenda, and we could vote. We could make a motion to approve all of the policies for repeal in one fell swoop if we wanted, which would be A 1 through 18. Would somebody like to make that motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Brendan, seconded by Ilda. Any discussion?
I just have basically a point of information question. I see a number of these have been, it's noted here that there's another policy that's already been adopted. So I'm curious why we didn't drop that policy when we adopted the model policy. So for instance, Pledge of Allegiance, model policy, Pledge of Allegiance already adopted. Why didn't we just
It could
drop
just
it
be an
then?
oversight, the way the audit was conducted. We're basically moving down a giant spreadsheet, section by section, so it might just have been an oversight.
Okay.
Mary?
Yeah, I think also from what Katina was saying the other day, that some are also things that have like been moved into sort of a whole policy that is, for example, on like school safety. So now things like are moved into different categories, but they're already covered. So then you just have to repeal them from their old
Yep.
number.
Okay, if there's no further discussion, all those in favor of the motion on the floor, please indicate by raising your hand. Okay, it's unanimous. Next, we could take up the policies for repeal and replacement, and there's only one of them. So I'll entertain a motion on that particular policy for use of automatic external defibrillators. Motion made by Paula.
Second.
Seconded by Alicia. Yay, Alicia, you got there in time. Any further discussion on that? Okay, all those in favor, please indicate by raising your hand. Okay, it's unanimous. And then we have a motion for approval of a field trip for Windham Center School to Old Sturbridge Village and a field trip by North Windham School to Old Sturbridge Village. We could take those two together if we wanted.
So moved.
So moved. You're making a motion to approve both of
I'd
these?
make a motion to approve both field trips. to Sturbridge
Okay.
Village. Have fun.
Second.
Seconded by Brendan, motion made by Ilda. Any further discussion? Yes, Mark.
Yeah, I was just wondering if we could have Neil dress as a colonial person to accompany the trip.
Mark, this I could do for you. I can make this happen. I know he is. He's a good sport. He'll go along with anything we ask.
Just an old sheep farmer, that's what I'm looking for.
Ah. Oh, my word. Oh, Mark, you're wonderful. Thank you for the levity. Any further discussion aside from Neil's costume? Okay, all those in favor of approving the two field trips? Oh, yes, we needed to. Okay, so we're approving putting them together. Now, I'll entertain a motion to approve the field trips. Motion made by who? Ilda, seconded by Paula. Okay, any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor of the field trips, please indicate by raising your hand. Okay, it's unanimous. Thank you. And we took action on those next two things. So now we're on educational specs for a proposed K through 4 elementary school. I would entertain a motion.
I move we approve the educational specifications for the K-4 elementary school.
Thank you, Brendan. Made the motion, and do I get a second?
Second.
Seconded by Ilda.
Ilda Katina.
Any further discussion? That's noting that the change was made earlier on. Okay, all those in favor of the ed specs, please indicate by raising your hand. It's unanimous. Thank you. Now you can move forward. Thank you. And now I need a motion on a budget transfer of $649,446.
So moved. I was waiting for the dollars. I didn't-
Dollars. Right. Sorry, my brain is getting there. Motion was made by Mark. Do I get a second?
Second.
Second by Alicia. Any further discussion on the budget transfers? All those in favor, please indicate by raising your hand. Unanimous, thank you. And now I would entertain a motion to go into an executive session to discuss a possible extension to the superintendent's contract.
So moved.
Motion made by Ilda,
Second.
seconded by Alicia. All those in favor of going into executive session, please indicate by raising your hand. Okay. Okay. It's unanimous. Okay, now we're going to take a break. We're going to move into the conference room, and we'll be back But people, well, we're going into executive session, right? We're breaking from this venue. Okay. We're coming back into session at 8:38. And Brendan?
I make a motion that we extend the contract of Dr. Tracy Youngberg by 1 year to end June 30th, 2026.
Do I hear a second?
That.
Seconded by Paula. Any discussion?
Happy to do it.
Yep. We're very pleased to be doing this. So all those in favor of the motion on the floor, please indicate by raising your hand. Opposed? One opposing vote. The motion carries. Congratulations, Tracy. Is there any public comment? None? Okay. I entertain a motion to adjourn at 8:39.
I move we move.
Meeting adjourned.